I also want to see if the match between Paige and Charlotte is actually worth a damn. I was a little confused as to why they ended Raw tonight with that signing. I mean,
yeah, that was weird.
That's something that was forced. I mean, I could see.
Oh, that was definitely forced, and Paige really became detached from that promo. Did you see that? Like, she just was like, almost like, all right, let's get it going. Stop crying. Like, she wasn't smooth with the way she reacted. Charlotte Flair did good on her side. I don't like the constant crying stuff that she's doing, and it has nothing to do with her brother. She was crying on cue. Let's not mistake it here. This promo was set up to be the way it was.
Right.
She didn't just pepper in her brother Reed out of the blue. It was supposed to go that way.
Right.
But Paige looked detached from it. It just was like, let's get along, it just wasn't. They didn't have a flow, Don Tony. Did you notice that between the two of them?
No,
there was no flow in the conversation at all.
No, it just felt like, all right, this person has certain points to put across, and this person has certain points to put across, but it just felt like two people sort of reading a script and not emotionally. Put it this way.
Absolutely.
It didn't sound like the reactions.
It didn't click.
It didn't feel like the reactions were the appropriate reactions in a lot of the back and forth. It's like, you're supposed to, at the end of the day, it's not about a title. It's about who has your back. And I was like,
and
first
she's like,
of all,
where'd you get that out of 17 magazine? Like, if this was, and she's like, oh, shut up, Charlotte. Like, it was just stupid. It just was juvenile, and it wasn't even like two women were talking. It was like Paige still keeps playing this role like she's 17 and not 23. And I'm just not, though she looked good in those jeans tonight, I have to give her credit. But there was it didn't flow for me. It didn't work.
Well,
there's nothing that to me it didn't put
my biggest problem was that I know this is going to sound stupid. My biggest problem was, where is the clump of hair in the person's hand? And what I mean by that is this: and this is not a stereotype. This is just natural reaction. You know how they say like a tiger, like they immediately go for the neck, or they, like somebody has an instant reaction when two girls fight and they have long hair. One of the things that you always do is you go for the hair. You rip a fucking chunk of hair. Now, I'm not saying that they should have ripped a chunk of hair out of each person's head, but at least grab the other fucking person's hair and try to play it off that you're not letting go, and people are trying to pry your hands away and you're not letting go, and you're just got a clump and you're holding on to it. It's like I'm watching him two have this physical interaction. We're on the floor, and it's like I could see Charlotte waiting for Paige to move out of the way so she can bash her foot against the ring apron. And I'm like, if someone is that pissed off, you're not going to do the things that are being done. It was just hokey. It reminds me of when there's a massive feud between two guys and they finally get their hands on each other, and the first move they do is put the other person in a fucking headlock.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just, it seemed like they had bullet points to put across, and some of it meshed together okay, and some of it did not. And when they had those pull aparts and they're not doing the things that just common sense you would do in a real fight, it was just, I looked at that and I was like, oh God, please, could it end so we could do the show already? That's how I felt. It did nothing to make me want to watch it more. And like you said, there was some comments made on both sides. I'm like, really? What? It was just, I don't know. It was like the female Randy Orton. Charlotte should have just did an RKO. She was cutting like a Randy Orton type promo.
It's true. I agree with you. I just think it didn't really go anywhere. I still think Charlotte is not connecting with the fans. I think Paige does a little bit. Paige has her fan base, but clearly it doesn't have the hype and momentum that I'm sure they wish that it had for justify closing the show. I'm sure we are going to read throughout the week news sites and chat boards criticizing them for making that the last thing of the night.
Yeah,
not because it's women, just because of who it was in the women's division.
What's funny? You know why I really think they closed out with them? For real? For real. I mean this.
Ran out of ideas.
You're actually very close to my reason. If you look at the recap of Raw tonight, the only other thing you could have possibly closed out with was Roman Reigns and his match. If you take away that match, what are you going to close with? You weren't going to close with
Probably
the
Brothers of
Undertaker.
Destruction coming out, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, you opened up with the Brothers of Destruction, so you already blew that load at the first hour of Raw. So because they formatted the show the way they did, what were they going to close it out with? So it was like there was nothing else to close it out with. There really wasn't. The days are gone of having the pull aparts with, like all the person and, different people in the ring brawling with each other. It was just, why didn't Becky Lynch come out, to try to like help Charlotte, for when Paige was doing what she was doing. It was just, I just didn't like the end. Had nothing to do with the fact that they're women. It just didn't feel like, that's how you want to end Raw. Or maybe they just knew that hour 3 was going to bomb in the ratings, so they figured, let's just throw the Divas at the end.
Well, it's going to be, I actually can't wait till tomorrow. I'm sure Don Tony will post something up on the page about the ratings.